Positive K, Mr. I'm Not Having It, Mr. What Your Man Got to Do With Me, the gentleman, the rapper, the clean cut and dapper. We're listening to the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
Come on in, man. Have a seat. Put them cans on.
Make yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
Hey, I can hear myself.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in stereo.
Yeah, we are at the headquarters of the Ineffable Music Group with the ineffable Tim House.
How you guys doing?
Man, I'm going to try and describe you since now I've called you ineffable. You are an OG, if there ever was one.
Triple OG, man.
I would say your client list is probably the foundations of Bay Area hip-hop and beyond.
In a way, I think that the roster and client base of the artists that I work with definitely are, I guess, pinnacles.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the foundation of anything because there's definitely been artists and musicians that have come before the cats that I work with.
Sure.
That have laid down a pretty good foundation for everything that we're working with now.
Fair enough. But
You've done your fair share of work, though.
yeah.
Try to, try to just really try to contribute as much as possible to the art and to the culture. And, I by no means have given back as much as I've received. So
Man,
That's a heavy thing to say, man. I appreciate that you would say that, and
Right
it
off the
doesn't
bat.
surprise me because we just met today. But boy, do you come well recommended from our homeboy Kevin Robinson from Kevin Hates Hip Hop.
Oh, shout out to Kev.
Man.
Good guy right there.
He just speaks glowingly of you, and he says, I have to do it because Tim would never do it of himself. So we'll get that out of the way. But also, you've been here at Ineffable Music Group. I believe you're the head of Urban A&R.
Yes, sir. I have two partners, Thomas Cousins and Igor Katz, and then and actually I have three partners and Matt Bailey. Really, we are a full service management company, so we provide every service that an artist, a working artist, would need, just as far as merchandising, artist management, tour management, road management, web and online support, website design, marketing, promotion.
Those are things that didn't exist in the A&R role of old.
Mm-hmm.
Back when if you were Mo Austin, you didn't have they didn't have websites. They didn't have, and that's all really changed. And the role of the A&R man has gotten really much more hands-on and more organic, would you say?
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up somebody like Mo Austin because I'll say just probably in the past like 20 to 25 years, we've seen the record industry itself transform maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 times. And so you get like every few years, things just switch up and change. So there's always a new platform, and it's ever evolving. So roles and responsibilities have to be redefined.
Yeah.
And sometimes that has to be done on the fly. So I mainly come from a management background, but like I said, with everything being redefined and reimagined, even you tend to take on new roles and new responsibilities as time goes on. So if you're a manager, you're supposed to find out about marketing. You're supposed to find out about publishing. You're supposed to find out about different viral and social networking platforms for your client, along with the touring aspect of things. So now in 2015, you got to do it all.
Sure.
And I'm blessed enough to have 3 partners that enable me to be more on the creative side of things.
Okay.
And that's really where my interest is at, is being able to cultivate and develop talent.
So you still are, as an A&R guy, you still are responsible for developing the artist and the artist's body of work as a whole.
Oh, definitely. Like that's probably where, at least here, that's where I fit in the most. And really just, being able to like an artist like Zion I, who I didn't discover. I started with them when they were probably on their third out of total, I think, 14 projects that they have out now.
Wow, 14.
So I started with them on their third, and from there it was a lot different then, but a long time. As time has passed.
What year was that?
This was, started working with Zion
90.
Nah, well, fully with Zion I. Zion I dropped their first record in 2000.
In 2000.
Yeah,
okay.
their first full length in 2000, and then their second in 2002. And then I came along right in between the second and third projects, started to work with them then, and then completely took over by their fourth project.
Okay.
And even now, it's like before it was me and maybe one or two other people. And I handled a lot of stuff on the road, like, you know, I did the driving on the road. I tour managed. I helped book the shows.
Come on.
Yeah.
Sold merchandise.
That's as organic as it gets,
I was going to
man.
say, and then you sold the tickets, and you said that. You did. You sold the tickets.
But you literally took the wheel.
Damn near, man. Almost, but not really though. I can't, like I said, you just have to turn yourself into like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Like a human Swiss Army knife. Like whatever tool that you need to get the job done, you have to be ready to do that.
So it's a little less that you created this A&R role that you have now, and a little more that you were just doing what you had to do, and now we can look at the role and say, well, what does an A&R guy like you do? And it's really a function of what you've had to evolve doing to keep the business a step ahead.
Yeah, definitely trying to at least keep abreast of what's going on. It's not as hard as it used to be to find talent.
Yeah.
But it is harder to kind of like sift through it. Just
because there is a glut.
Yeah, just because you make a good song doesn't mean that you'll be able to perform well, and just because you perform well doesn't mean that you'll be able to come across on a recorded project.
Okay, here we go. This is what I really, really wanted to corner you about, because, you know, we talk all the time about how artists are nowadays and how you have to. Well, let me just ask you this: if you're looking at an artist in terms of your ability to look down the road for them, because the A&R guy still has to provide the vision for an artist in a long-term sense, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm an artist, man, I have to concentrate on making this record, and you have to help me do that, but you also have to help me understand or guide me, whether I understand it or not, guide me toward what I'm going to become as an artist. So when you look down the road and you look at somebody face to face, what are you looking for?
Really, what I'm looking for is,
what do you think speaks to longevity?
Great performances.
Yeah.
Yeah, live
It
sets.
still comes back to great performances.
Well, that's the thing that that is going to last for anybody.
Yeah.
Because there's no one in control of your live performance except for you as an artist.
Okay.
So that an engineer, or you don't need a studio for that. You don't need to pay to record
Right.
for your live performance. All you need is somewhere to play.
You need to step up.
And if it's the BART station,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Right.
if it's outside somewhere, if it's a hole in the wall, if it's a coffee shop, if it's the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium,
Right.
You know, you don't need a record label for that. You don't need the internet for that.
Yeah. You can see somebody's capability of moving people.
That's really what it is. It gets no purer than that. It's a direct connection from artist to fan or to attendee, you know, and they're immediately engaging right then and there on the spot. And you have to be able to also take yourself out of, you know, like I have to take myself out of a role of an A&R guy,
Uh-huh.
and be a fan,
Right.
and be a person.
Is this a skill that you've always had? Like, were you born with like this radio that you could tune in for that, or do you have to develop that?
That's hilarious. I mean, just like with anybody, music is very subjective. So
Yeah.
people feel how they feel about music. So what I like and what I love, somebody else is like can be like, hey, that really sucks, you know.
Right.
And you have to respect that's their opinion.
Yeah.
But when I listen to something or I see an artist that I'm interested in, I'll play it out all day, all night, like just to make sure that I'm not going crazy.
Right.
You know, before I even, like, after all day and all night listening to something, I'll go to somebody else, and I keep, like, almost like a safeguard, which is, I have a list of people that I play music to that I like, and each one of those people are all different. Maybe one or two of them might be involved in the music industry, but these are, like, quote unquote regular people.
Right.
School teachers, doctors, lawyers, construction workers, whatever. Just people that just work regular jobs or whatever, have nothing to do with music, but whose opinions I value, because these are people that are actually like the consumers and the fans, you know, and they will give you an honest opinion. Getting their opinion lets me know whether I'm right or not, and usually almost every time they're spot on with it. You know, and that's regardless of genre.
Nice. Yeah. There's always that case where you run into something that you really like, and on a technical level, it's superior to other things, and you go, man, this is good. And then you put it in front of people, and they're like, oh, yeah, not, yeah. How often do you run into that where you, like, you can tell they got the chops. They're technically really good.
Several times. In fact, the client that we have now, when I signed them, nobody was really feeling it.
Oh, man.
And that's even, you know, internally, like within our own infrastructure. You know, I had to kind of more or less convince staff members that this is something that we should all get behind, and that we should all push, because it's not a question of if they're going to make it, it's when.
Right.
You know, so all we have to do is toe the line, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, they had everything. They had all the tools. You just wanted to accelerate the process.
Yeah, but at the same time, I totally understood why there was this disconnection between our staff and the artist, and it was mainly a language barrier.
Wow.
You know, because they don't do their music in English. So just to get over that part for a lot of people, it's a difficult thing to just accept music as it is, instead of using lyrics as a crutch or a language as a crutch.
Yeah, and to be able to fit it into a box, because you understand that.
And with a lot of artists that I work with, I would rather it be one way or the other. Like, you're either in this box where you're going to do this to the fullest, like a group like Hieroglyphics, they're fully into a traditional boom bap hip hop box. They're not going to do an electronic remix. They're not going to have they're not going to be doing a song where they're all singing. You know, they're not going to do a trap song or something like that. They're not going to be. They're going to pretty much, you can take their music now and their music from 20 years ago and place it side by side. Only things that have changed is probably technology and maybe the tones of their voices. Yeah, maybe some slang, stuff like that. You know, but other than that, it's pretty much going to remain the same. You know, they're going to keep the integrity of their sound. Yeah. Whereas somebody like Zion I is straight up and down as an experimental rap group. Right. So they'll go in and out of any number of different sounds and different styles. Their message will always remain the same, but their sound will change. But
they purposefully go out and seek new influences and new things to grab from. And
definitely.
They change the tool bag up all the time.
Definitely. And that works for them and against them, because it's hard it's hard to classify somebody. And people want to put you in a box. Like, okay, you do this, so I'm going to put you over here with these guys. But then,
and you don't do that anymore, and I don't know if I can like that.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, so, you know, and like I said, it works both ways, but I know as musicians and as artists, I can't define an artist that I work with, you know. Yeah. And they have to define themselves. I can't be like, oh, you're this. I can't. How can I tell them that they're that?
Well, you're the boss.
Nah,
it doesn't work like that.
No, actually, they're the boss.
Okay.
So, but
you're the guide, though.
I'm a guide. I'm more of a director, if anything. You know, there's you know, like if there's everybody has a role and a responsibility, and without the music, none of us have anything.
So you are the hip hop Sherpa, and they still have to trudge up the mountain.
Well, I mean, in a way, you know, mainly, we'll sit up and we'll discuss like different themes and concepts when we're starting projects, and usually somebody will just start doing songs and stuff, and then we'll grab a concept, wrap the project around that concept.
Can you give us an example of what that conversation is?
Yeah, because you know what? I'm thinking now when you say things like you get an artist and you sit down and you discuss concepts, man, that really pushes back to the age of the album. And nowadays, man, there's a lot of people just dropping singles all the time, and there is a lot less concept, I feel like, in the business now.
Well, off top, I'm a huge fan of conceptual works, and that's throughout any genre or lane of music. Sure. So if it's an album like Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, like just the name alone, and then the song titles, the lyrics to the songs, and then the group dynamic to be able to, there's a whole story there.
Yeah.
It makes it very visual, all the way to a record like Death Certificate by Ice Cube, which shows the duality of the black man, of a young black man in South Central LA, and what they're dealing with in 1991, 1992.
That's the last Ice Cube album I actually liked.
Yeah, but then jump all the way ahead to a record like To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, which is, another. It's a record of just pure black celebration and love. That we probably haven't seen in a while, and
long time.
Yeah, and I know that his peers are not. They've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
So like if you're somewhere in between the ages of say 20 to 28, like if you're in your 20s,
you've never experienced it. I mean, you might have to go back to Marvin or Stevie or maybe Kenny Lattimore or. Well,
you can definitely go back into like a lot of Marvin's records. Hear My Dear, I think that's that was an ingenious record. I think that Hotter Than July by Stevie Wonder was amazing. I think that that a lot of those records that were made at that time were made as albums.
Yeah,
I don't think that they were talking about, or even in the studio thinking like, okay, well, this is going to be the single. We're going to build stuff around it.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
Tower
of Power, Bump City.
Yeah, see now when
it had continuity.
Yeah, and
it went for a long ride.
And like the first record that I was able to sit down with and actually start to develop from beginning to end was the record by Zion and the Grouch called Heroes in the City of Dope, and we conceptualized that like just like how we're sitting right here now at the table.
Yeah,
we just met every week and discussed. We threw around different song titles. We I think we flipped a coin whether the album was going to be Grouch and Zion I or Zion I and the Grouch. We knew what we wanted to do with the artwork and the direction that we wanted to take the music in.
Yeah,
and I think at the time we were dealing with the hyphy movement, so we wanted to make something almost post hyphy. Keep the we wanted to use elements of the sound, but we definitely wanted to make not necessarily a conscious record, but more of a aware record.
Yeah,
like we're awake.
Yeah, it's a departure because it's a little more thoughtful.
Yeah, and at that time, nobody had taken those elements of the hyphy and the street sound and said anything of substance.
It was busy having a good time.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And basically, that record was to say, like,
yeah, we have something to say too.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to always go dumb. You can go smart too.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. So.
I wish there was more of that. I remember when I was a kid, man, there was. I sound like an old ass man. Every time I open my mouth, I feel like there's at least one point in every episode where I catch myself going, "Well, I'm back in my,"
Hey, when you start, getting up there, then you always have those references of, man, I remember when, or back when I was.
Yeah.
But there are reference points though, and you're also a more sophisticated music listener than probably someone half your age because they haven't they haven't tread the water that you have. You know, they certainly haven't seen the artists that you've seen and how they do these things and how messages are shorter now. It's a single as opposed to whole albums. You know, there's a lot of change. So it's okay to reference back to that. Heck, I was listening to Sgt. Pepper Lonely Heart Club Band today. What a great record that is. Still being influenced by it. So it's all right to go back to that. It's not angry old man style.
You know, I saw recently, and I saw it when it first came out, but I went and rewatched it recently. There was a documentary where they sat down with George Martin at the board, and he dissected the record and pulled tracks out, soloed tracks, and, you know, really gave the listener an opportunity to dig into that record and understand the process, the building process. I really wish somebody would do a show like that with a hip-hop record.
Well, there's only a handful of George Martin-esque producers
out there
that are even left. And in hip-hop terms, there's so many. Like, I know they even, to me, like the greatest icon that we have in hip-hop is, in my opinion, is Dr. Dre.
Sure.
And I've seen where, you know, there's been a song that he's produced and people are like, well, he didn't do the beat, so how can he say he produced it? And I'm like, man, you guys don't know about...
Let Me Ride, for instance.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's a producer.
Yeah. He's
not just a beat maker.
Right.
You know, he's not just a drum programmer or something like that. He's a producer, so he knows how to get the best. Here, for instance, I know when Kanye West made Stronger, he took, as soon as he completed the song, he took the song to the club and played it in the club so he could hear how it was sounding in the club.
Yeah.
And once he heard it in the club, he was like, you know what? I don't like the way my drums are.
Yeah, it's not done.
Now, this is one of the best producers out there.
Yep.
You know, he's one of the greatest. He takes his drums and he takes a song and gives it to Timberland, who's also a great producer. But he knows that Timberland is a better drummer than him, so can you fix up these drums for me? Yeah, you know,
make this really hit.
Yeah, so he did that, and they got a hit.
Yep.
You know, so it's not always. It's just a lot more difficult in hip hop terms to
dissect a record that way.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have cats like DJ Premier, Dr. Dre, the RZA, even the newer cats like somebody like 40 that works with Drake, or somebody like Manny Fresh that did all the Cash Money stuff, Beats by the Pound that did a lot of the No Limit stuff, and then you have other cats like Organized Noise, which produced the Goody Mob and Outkast. And
if you like the show,
and you know you do,
send us some pictures of your movies.
Don't do that. Support the show.
There are 3 ways you can support us.
Number 1, go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts
and leave a 5-star rating and review.
It helps with the show metrics and helps us get better placement. Number 2,
visit our website,
www.breakitdownshow.com.
We've got an Amazon and an eBay link.
Same Amazon, same eBay, you know and love, but they give us a little kickback when you get to their site from ours. And number 3, leave comments about the shows that you like. We want to know what you think, how you feel.
Tell us how to make the show better. We greatly appreciate it.
Now back to the show.
We like boobies.
You know,
now, see, you just named a bunch of producers. I would love to see Manny Fresh sit down and dissect.
There are some, but at the same time, it's like with the more new school, it's just like cats are just doing stuff.
Yeah, they're dropping things in there. But there is some deliberate. I mean, I brought up Let Me Ride specifically because, of course, there's that core sample. But when you start layering all that shit on there, it evolves the song. It updates the song. It gives the song a different feel. That song does a different thing to your lower back, you know, than the original sample does. And not taking anything away from the original sample, but the ability for a lot of producers nowadays to make a collage of samples, to me, is just as interesting as the things that George Martin did when he said, well, you know what, we need a French horn. Okay, that's great. He needed a French horn. Nowadays we go, well, you know what, I'm going to have to make, I want to throw back to everybody used the 808. I want to use a 909. You know, and what is that thought process about? And how is that building block changing the, inspiring the artist? Because now they go, oh, shit, I haven't heard that. No, man, drop that in there again. And, and then you change the tone of the song, and then you feed the theme.
The other thing those shows do that's great, like there's the one from U2 where they mix things in, and the moment and the music, how those things lock together. You'll see Brian Eno go, oh, that's right. We had someone play the triangle, and it didn't make the cut. Here it is. And he slides the lever up, and there's the triangle. And that takes him on a whole new memory of how that got there and how the 909 gets there instead of the 808. And,
right.
How someone tripped on a bucket. And there's all these great stories in color. I would love to hear that stuff, about the Chronic or whatever album it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. There are there's some stories out there about some full length projects and how they were put together and who was a part of it and who wasn't. There definitely does need to be more of that. I know, like for instance, like how secretive somebody like Prince is. I would love to hear about these sessions, man. Like to know that this dude is damn near playing every instrument and singing every note on a project, but then
and recording every day.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, you know what? I need help on something." Wait a second, who are you gonna call, bro? You need help on something. Yeah. Who are you gonna call? I would
it's
love
a short
to see
list
something like that. Yeah,
it's a short list. I mean, whenever he picked up the phone, it was who knows who he brought in that never made the cut. But I mean, if we look back at his recorded work, very few people. Claire Fisher.
Man, you can read between the lines.
Lisa Coleman. I mean, there's not many people. Sheila E. Levi Caesar.
Yeah, Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy's sister Suzanne. Is it Suzanne or is that? Is that Lisa's sister? I can't remember.
It's Suzanne is Wendy's sister. Wendy Melvoin, Suzanne Melvoin.
Okay, and their dad. He's called their dad in for sessions as well.
Yeah, Mike Melvoin. Their dad is a man. He's a member of the Wrecking Crew. He played on all the Beach Boys records. I mean, they go way back. But it is a short list. And then when you get that call, what does he call upon you to do?
It could be one of those Brian Eno things. It could put the triangle right here.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I've just seen, like, I've been a fan of his out the gate, but just seeing what he recognizes in people and how he tries to pull the talent out of them.
Yeah.
Whether it's, being in the band with him or him writing and producing for them.
Right.
And it's been a laundry list of artists that he's worked with. And
well, let's shoot the shit about that for a second now that you brought that up, because really there aren't a lot of Prince-produced artists that really did anything. Like when you look at like The Family or Madhouse or those kind of projects, those didn't really go anywhere. Whereas, I mean, I love Prince, always have. But you know what I love even more than Prince is The Time. And I know that that's just Prince. The early stuff that I love was just, okay, Morris, come over here and sing this on top of this track that I laid. But when you have Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and you don't let them play nothing.
Well, that could be, I don't know why, but it could be youthful angst and arrogance at that time.
At that time, yeah.
It could be any number of things, but when it did come down to it, he kept talented people around.
That's true.
What he let them do is whatever.
There's a bone of contention there from all of them, pretty much.
Yeah, but if you look at The Time and even break The Time down, and then also The Family, or then like you said, Madhouse, Ingrid Chavez,
Taja Seville.
Taja Seville, all the way to Mavis Staples, Shaka Khan, George Clinton,
right?
Larry Graham.
Larry Graham, yeah.
It goes both ways, and I think what you're signing up for once you sign up.
Well, by now you must. But when Larry Graham signed up, he was already Larry Graham. When Morris Day signed up, there wasn't already an example of what was there. So, everything, like just like your career evolves.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have to let it
Yeah.
evolve. You can't really force evolution. That caterpillar does not decide today I'm going to be a butterfly.
Right.
That's true.
It's up to me, and I'm going to decide that today is the day.
Yeah. Now I wish it was that easy, but you know what, caterpillar, you're just going to have to chill and wait for it, man. Keep doing what you do because you mean something to everybody. We still need you to make things work.
Yeah.
But you're just going to have to wait a little while until you're going to be able to blossom and fully evolve into what you're supposed to be.
So it used to be that the job of A&R man was to recognize the caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that?
Pretty much, yeah.
And how much of it now is not, you said yourself you can't force things, but how much of that process is now a little forward as opposed to being the guy who could walk up to somebody in a grocery store parking lot and, look at him and say, that guy's got something. That guy's, singing to the people in front of the door. I think I can create. Versus the being able to see an artist who's already developing themselves and saying, okay, I can take you to the finish line because you've already gotten to the 40-yard line. I can bring you to the end zone.
I would say like maybe even a group like Los Rickards, very raw.
Yeah.
When I first started to work with them, but I saw the potential in them, and they were already stars.
Okay.
Before we linked up and connected and started to work, I don't think the rest of the world knew it at the time yet.
How far along really were they?
In terms of now, I mean, we've been working together for 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I would say 5 years ago, they weren't anywhere close to being where they are right now.
Okay.
But
fair enough. 5 years worth of development with good tutelage is something.
But it does not mean that they couldn't have made it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, probably would. Like I said, it was never a question of if they were going to make it.
It was when.
It was always when.
Okay.
So yeah, they're a perfect example. I think like the cats that I tour managed for, like the Heartbreak Gang. That's another, like, it's just win. And with some of them, it's already happening.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think mainly purely just because of their songwriting ability and their ability to produce music for their peers and for people that want to hear it. Radio-friendly songs, club-friendly songs, street-friendly songs. There hasn't been a lot of artists that are able to cross-pollinate over so many different lanes. You usually own one or the other.
Sure.
And for some young cats to actually do that and have the respect of not only their peers, but people that are younger than them and older, and come from a place of almost purity, like it's just fun.
Yeah.
There's no posturing like I'm tougher than you or, this or that. It's just like straight fun stuff. And I think that where they exist is a very, very comfortable middle ground for them.
How much is it important? I almost know the answer to this question because you've prefaced it by saying that it comes down to the performance. But how important is the road? How important is it to take an artist and go, you know what, you need some, it used to, the 10,000 hour theory.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for you to take an artist and go, all right, you have really something important, something special. What it needs is reps. And I need to put your behind on the road.
It's extremely important. I think that
is that Tim House tour manager talking?
I mean, as a tour manager, that my decisions are just basically really don't have too much to do with the creativity, but that's just a bonus plus. That if you get me tour managing, then I know how production should go. I know how sounds work. I know how the engagement of an audience works. I know when call and response should happen or shouldn't happen, or how long a set should be, how much of this song you should do versus cutting this part out or extending it this long.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. That's like an added plus. But as far as getting on the road, like for instance, with Los Rickards, within a month of working with them, we were lucky enough to place them on a tour. And that was invaluable
Yeah.
Because it was like immediately they got out there, and it was their first tour, so they were on the road every night, and they were with vets that not only dug them, like as far as like
Who'd you send them out there?
with Brother Ali and the Grouch and Eli.
Okay, man.
So they did a how the Grouch Stole Christmas tour, and it was, like I said, it was phenomenal for them because they got the experience of being out there night after night and having to prove to people that these weren't their fans. People weren't coming to see them.
Oh yeah,
you know. So it's every night.
Man, you just threw them in the fire,
pretty much, and they came out shining.
Yeah,
and that experience alone is worth more. It's like, you know, when you're on tour, it's almost like Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's basically same shit, different toilet, man.
Yeah,
You know?
maybe. Okay,
You know,
there is the element of that, but also there's, what do you call it, the tempering process. It's like making a sword. You heat it up and you pound it. You heat it up and you pound it, and it's the same shit over and over again. But you heat it up and pound it enough, and it gets tempered.
definitely you're sharpening your tools, and you can tell, like, if a tour is 2 weeks or it's a month, you can tell the first week how things are going, and then the last week how things are going, and and there'll be adjustments made. They'll like, okay, we're not doing this song, or we're doing this song, or I've been there where cats have made songs on the road, and then immediately start working these songs into the set. It's not song's not even out. Like, we haven't even recorded the song yet.
Right.
Like, cats are working out during sound check.
Yes.
And
But I mean, that's really the more drawn out process that you described of Kanye going and bringing his song to the club and throwing it in there one time and just hearing it in the room and hearing the crowd react to it. That's really taking a song and pounding it out. That's the old fashioned way.
Yeah, and there's still cats that will take those certain aesthetics and apply them. But like I said, the road is definite. Like, I can say, like, 10 years ago, no one cared about the road except for independent groups,
right?
And groups that were country and western artists, rock and roll artists, DJs to a certain extent, and then underground or independent rap acts. Mainstream acts, no, not at least not on the rap side of things. Like, because I've been going to South by Southwest since the year 2000, and from what it looked like 15 years ago to where it's at now,
there were no hip hop artists at South by Southwest in the year 2000, were there?
There were.
Oh, were there?
Yeah, but
okay.
They weren't mainstream.
That's going back though. Yeah,
they were not mainstream acts at all.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was just a lot different. There weren't any corporate sponsors, or this year I saw a McDonald's stage there.
Yeah. Wow.
Which was crazy. And
man,
at the same time there was a like, I used to tell cats, like, a lot of hip hop artists, like, the BET Awards, okay, yeah, All-Star Weekend, whatever, but you really would want to be at either a CMJ or a South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Reason being is a lot of artists will be at these other events, but they're not necessarily there to network or to look for new talent or to check anybody else out. They're on their own way.
Yeah.
But South by Southwest was, for a long time, the only place where you would have artists, management, talent buyers, booking agents,
all in one place,
partners, sponsors, media. Everybody's there, and they're all willing. They're all looking for that next thing.
Yeah.
So, and they don't know if you're the next thing or not. So they're all willing to listen or to see you, and even if it's just for a few minutes. And a lot of times, all you need is a few minutes for some of these people, because at the same time, it's all you're gonna get.
And so, South by Southwest has made artists, like Los Lonely Boys. That pretty much, they got plucked and launched from South by Southwest, and it didn't. That kind of a power in an event like that, knowing that you can do that, it starts to attract sponsors like McDonald's.
Yeah. The Farm and Fleet stage.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a lot of different things that I can't imagine acts come to you with the kind of knowledge that you have. And obviously, you've got to develop that like stagecraft. Like, okay, we're going to open up. We're going to do a 3-song medley to get the crowd going, and then we're going to do the call and response. And do they? And then you go to South by Southwest. You have to go because that's the gig, great, but you're there to market. You're there to sell your band. How many other things are there like that? That are things that bands just have no idea that they have to add to their machine because they're focused on songwriting and tonality, and you're like, that's great, but what about your Twitter feed? The things that you never even consider.
I mean,
the polish.
Yeah. I mean, but outside of just making music, and perfecting your sound, and then also perfecting your live set, you have to market yourself,
right?
Unless you're, it's just very few and far between times that you're not. Your music just markets itself for you.
Yeah, not in this day and age.
Yeah, and I'm talking like cats like a Mad Lib or a DJ Shadow or a MF Doom, which are in essence are underground acts, but their music markets itself for them. Their image is really like almost non-existent. It's nobody's walking around trying to look like them. No one cares what they have on. No one cares what they're driving because you don't even see any of this stuff to even care.
Right.
So you're just left with nothing but music. So it doesn't matter if what kind of shoes you got on. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive. It doesn't matter what woman you're dating because you don't see any of that.
Right. That's
so,
just not even part of it.
Yeah, and which shouldn't be a part of it. It should not matter what fucking shoes you have on. What matters is like, do you like my music,
right, Amen.
Or not? Do you like my show or not? But these are the times that we live in.
Yeah,
and so for younger cats that are coming up, we definitely want them to know that it's less about that. Unless you're trying to impress your peers. That's whatever. You can go ahead and do that, but mainly it's like your music, because back in the day, a song called Flavor in Your Ear by Craig Mack, and he had a line that said, "You won't be around next year," and that is the quintessential line to me because when it comes to rap and hip hop, there's always cats that will be here this year and then not there next year. For whatever reasons.
What happened to Craig Mack?
He came back a couple times.
Yeah.
But it's ironic that was his line, and maybe a year later I don't think he was around.
Right.
But most importantly, like when it comes to like trying to obtain longevity, is not getting stuck in the trends or the rigmarole of what people are doing today. And to look forward to what's going to happen in a year, in 2 years, and
that's why
5 years down the line.
That's why you need an A&R, man.
Yeah.
Because there are artists, how often do you run across an artist where they just come with the youthful enthusiasm, like, I want to go to South by Southwest because so-and-so is going to be there and I just want to whoop his ass. Because you brought up Prince. Prince was driven by wanting to kick everybody's ass. He wanted to go on stage and he wanted I dare you to come to my show because you can get an ass whooping. You come to my show. How often do you see that nowadays? Because that to me is the Renaissance. When you tell us that you see that again, I'm gonna be real happy for hip hop.
Well, I mean, I've run into the youthful enthusiasm, but not necessarily like, we're gonna destroy cats tonight.
Yeah,
like I haven't run into that type of stuff in a while, because this is the main thing is like like a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with now, as far as like younger cats and cats that are on the come up, is that everybody thinks they're the best. Everybody thinks they're the best.
Wow.
And it's like, they're like, yeah, I'll eat Jay-Z alive. I'm like, bro, like,
yeah,
you have like one mixtape.
You got one mixtape.
You know,
you want to take on.
You got one
Jay-Z.
mixtape. It was 16 songs. You have 12 features. So I'm just like, okay, I guess you will. Huh? I mean, in your mind,
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with confidence and bravado. That's
Sure.
what a lot of this is built on.
And it's what hip hop is about. Yeah.
But
Jay-Z's not even in the room.
yeah, but the other thing is like you don't get that confidence and bravado for no reason. Like again, back in the day, you get that confidence and bravado from actually taking your talent and putting it right up against the next man,
Right.
like in the form of a battle or a cipher or something like that, so that you can sharpen your sword. You can see how sharp you are versus the next man, and if you need to step your game up, you might walk away feeling confident, like, okay, I got that dude, or maybe it's like, oh no. And I know a lot of groups have been made like, okay, I'm about to serve this dude, and then wait, this dude's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
We better join forces.
yeah, it'd be better for me to join up with this guy before I get taken out.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of groups have been created that way. But like I said, it's just one of those things where now what we're dealing with is a lot of arrogance, overconfidence, and it's with cats that really haven't done that much. You know, like I said, I get to the enthusiasm from cats that just want to get out there,
Yeah.
more so than and show what they're about versus anything else.
Okay.